Hello, I'm Hal Ottaway with the Wichita Postcard Club, and it's time once again for a postcard of the week. Please like us on Facebook and on YouTube. Today, I want to talk about two different advertising items. One is an advertising postcard, and one is a paperweight mirror. We're going to talk about the postcard first. I can tell by looking at the back that I probably bought this from Norma Hewitt at Hewitt's Antique Shop downtown. I know her writing, and she had written Wichita. And so this is a pretty scarce, difficult to find postcard. It's advertising. It was never postally used. It wasn't mailed to anybody. So I don't know. A lot of times, there were mailings, and junk mail was what we would think of it today as an advertisement. But this may have been just distributed, laid on their counter, and people picked them up. I don't know. In any case, this is at 3rd and Main Street, North Main Street in Wichita, and we're looking at the the northwest corner of that intersection. Across the street to the east is what I remember as the main post office in downtown Wichita, a 2 or 3 story building, big stone, impressive. And the post office was on the first floor, and then there were courts and so forth, I think, on floors above. Today, our post office, the main post office, has been moved out by the Wichita Airport, or the Eisenhower Airport. And this building is now, I think, used as federal court system. The postcard is interesting in many respects. It shows this intersection. It shows it, just kind of the way it was. My gosh, all of this lumber advertising on the outside. You can see on the left that there's a sign on the side of the building, and it shows a 3-digit phone number. It says phone 196, and that was probably all of the phones in that particular company only had 3 digits at that time. We don't know, or I don't know for sure. I have phone collector friends, and they would be able to add to that discussion. The other piece that I want to show is this advertising paperweight mirror. It shows the same building or buildings, plural, and the one thing that you see on the mirror is that you see the awnings on the 2-story building, and awnings were a big deal back when I was a kid, because we're talking about pre-air conditioned days. And so for people to work in these offices and so forth, they needed circulation in the room. They needed, if it was a hot day and they were on the second floor, they needed to have the windows open. And that's windows open for circulation. And a lot of times these windows would be tall windows that open both from the top and the bottom. Heat rises to the top, and so maybe some of the interior warmer air would go out the top of the window, and fresh air might maybe come in the lower part of the window. But the awnings gave it protection from the morning and noontime sun, and since that building is on that northwest corner, you see it was in sun much of the day until the afternoon, and then the Main Street part would have been in the shade. One of the things about the advertising mirror, it's heavy, and there's a reason to have this in the first place, and a reason that it was used is that with these windows open, there would have been air and circulation, and people working, say, at a desk or several desks in this room, their papers might have blown. You know, we have good winds and lots of breeze here in Wichita. We're lucky for that. It's not a still, stagnant air. We have lots of breeze. And so you needed a paperweight on every stack, maybe in your of papers on your desk. And so a work desk might have 3 or 4 areas like that, maybe a basket with papers in it, but then it would have had a paperweight on the top to keep things in order and together. But the paperweight part was a big part of advertising then, and this is just a good example of using that same or similar picture of the Metz Lumber Company. It says every stick a dry one there on the front of the advertising mirror, and we're talking about green lumber as opposed to cured or dry lumber. And so they were proud of that. What they sold was cured and it was ready for workmen to use and wouldn't have to dry out on the job and twist and so forth. They had yards in Kansas and Oklahoma, but I think this was probably kind of the main office here in North Wichita. We have the paperweight factor that I've explained to you and the need for it, all because of this pre-air conditioned times. We take it for granted today, but in just not too long ago, we didn't have air conditioning. We had needed the awnings and all of that. So this is kind of a good look at the way things used to be, maybe in the 20s, maybe in the early 30s for this paperweight mirror. It does have a mirror on both sides, and I guess you could look at yourself if you wanted to, but it's something that was used on desk all over downtown Wichita, and very popular to give as gifts at Christmas time and so forth, one company to another. Well, that's kind of our story for today on the J.H. Metz Lumber, or J.W. Metz Lumber Company in downtown North Wichita. Thanks for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.